Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well. Today, a bit of a change of scenery. I've already filmed this video once, but once I went back through it all you could hear was the dog licking and scratching and jumping around, so I've decided to come up into the nursery and do it in here. Let's see how this goes. Today's video is on my Nhandu Coloratovillosus, I hope that's how it's said, also known as the Brazilian black and white. I'm just going to go through how I keep this at the sling and the juvenile stage and just go through a few things that I've noticed about this species. This is a New World species that will grow to around 6 to 7 inches, and it's going to be quite a heavy-bodied spider. And I think these are the beautiful spiders once they're adults. I keep these at room temperature, so my room ranges between 23 to 26 degrees Celsius. That's around 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I do find this species to be quite docile and placid. It's never kicked hairs at me, touch wood, so far, and it doesn't seem to be that bothered. Now that it's a little bit older, if I'm there, I can take the lid off and it'll just sit there looking at me, to be honest. It didn't used to do that when it was a sling. As a sling, if I go anywhere near the tub, it'd bolt for its hide, but like I said, it's never kicked hairs. I found this species hasn't been too bothered about burrowing. I have seen it moving around dirt at times, but I think that's more just making its hide bigger as it's grown and just excavating a bit of the soil out of it. I still do give it enough soil to burrow if it wants to, so I'll probably fill the tub up about a third, halfway full with substrate. This, even though it don't burrow, I still find that having that amount of substrate in is good, because the more soil you've got, the more moisture you've got in there, which in turn helps with the humidity. Like I said a minute ago, this spider as a sling would run as soon as I went anywhere near it. It was very reclusive, hardly really saw it until it got to around the inch mark. It didn't really like coming out, but now as it's getting bigger, it spends a lot more time out and about. It's always on show really. Which is quite good, and it's got a very good feeding response. As a sling, I'd probably feed this every 3 to 4 days, and like I said, it wasn't very brave, so I would feed it pre-killed. I'd give it a pre-killed cricket, or chopped up mealworm, or a pre-killed small red runner roach. Now that it's got to about the inch, once it got to about the inch mark, I would give it live prey. It seems to take it down quite well by then, and I'd be feeding it once a week, and I'd be feeding it large crickets, medium-sized juvenile roaches, and I would also feed it adult red runners. This spider's fed really well. The only time that I've ever noticed it to miss a meal was when it's been in pre-molt. So it's actually gained quite a lot of size quite quickly. I got this as around a 1 to 2 centimetre sling. It's now about 1.5 inches, and I actually had this in my care for about 3.5 months. So I think that's pretty good growth, to be honest. The substrate that I've used for this species is the same mix that I use for slings, or most slings, and my moisture liking species. So it's 2 parts cocoa fibre, 2 parts topsoil, and 1 part sphagnum moss. As a sling, I would keep these in around a 7 by 7 by 5 plastic tub. In that I would have it filled probably about a third to halfway with substrate. I would put in a little bit of cork bark for a hide, and I would also put in a little water bowl for it. I try to keep the enclosures as minimal and as scarce as possible at this stage, just so it's easier for the tarantula to be able to find its food. And also I find if you put too much in the enclosure at this time, 9 times out of 10 your sling will end up making its home somewhere in that enclosure where it's going to be difficult for you to find it, or where you're not going to be able to know where it is. So I find it just makes it life a little bit easier for myself if I try to cut down its options. As a juvenile, I'm keeping it exactly the same really, just upping the size of everything, so a slightly bigger tub. So at the moment it's in a 12 by 12 by 8 container, same amount of substrate in it, slightly bigger bit of cork bark and a slightly bigger water dish. My plans, well I say plans, I'm not 100% sure, but I've got a 25 by 19 by 18 container that I can put this in next time, but I'm not 100% sure. I think what I'm going to do is give it a couple of molts, see how it grows between them molts, because it might not be worth me putting it into something, into a next stage. It might just be the fact that I could put it straight into its adult enclosure. So I'm going to have a look and see what happens. I'm also going to look at building my own enclosures, some acrylic enclosures, because the space that I've got is I've converted a shed for my invert room. I haven't quite got it finished yet, but the electrics are all getting done very soon. So I'll be moving all the spiders and mantises into the shed, and it's only an 8 by 6 shed, so I want to save as much room in there as possible. So I'm thinking about making my own enclosures. We'll have to see how it goes. I'll have a bit of a practice and see what I can come up with. If it's not very good, then I think I'll probably go with exoterras, to be honest. What I'm doing as well water-wise is I'm making sure that the bottom layers are quite wet and the top layers are slightly damp. How I'm keeping this is, what I'll do is I'll go in when I do feed-ins and just have a check. If the water still looks like it's okay in there, the soil's still dark at the bottom, I won't bother putting any extra water in there. I'll just fill up the water bowl. If it's looking like it's starting to dry out, I'll probably spray in the corners so the water drops down to the bottom layers, and I could also overflow the water dish at times as well. Personally, I would say this is a beginner species. I found it to be quite docile thus far, and from what I've seen from other people, has stayed quite docile. The only caveat to that really is the fact that they do have quite nasty urticating hairs, and although mine hasn't kicked hairs, I have heard from other people that theirs have quite readily kicked hairs. So that's something to keep in mind if this is something you're going to look at getting. I hope you've really enjoyed that, and that I've given out some useful information in there. My next video, I'm really looking forward to the next one, because it's kind of a dream species that I've got coming. So I'm going to do an unboxing and a housing video of that. I'm not going to say what it is, I'm just going to say that it's another tarantula YouTuber's favourite arboreal species. So once that comes, I'm going to get a little bit excited and get my camera out and get that all ready for next week. Yeah, so thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed it and you liked it, please hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. Any comments would be great. If you'd subscribe, share, and I've also got a TikTok and a Instagram channel if you want to go have a look at that. So right everyone, thanks for watching, take care, and hope to see you on the next video. Thank you very much.